minimum.
V1.
Bank angle.
Good day everybody, and welcome to another video tutorial about the Aerosoft CRJ for Microsoft Flight Simulator. In this video, we will program the FMS for our flight to Munich. But before we begin, I just want to clarify what an FMS is. FMS stands for Flight Management System. Many people call this box here the FMS, which is fully okay, but actually it is the CDU, the Control Display Unit. This unit is the interface with which the pilots communicate with the FMCs, the Flight Management Computers. These computers get their information from various onboard sensors and CDU inputs. They compute, among other things, the lateral and vertical guidance the flight director and autopilot needs to navigate a route. So in short, the control display units and the FMCs together are called the Flight Management System, FMS. Okay, we already did the safety check, the outside check and the originating checks. Now it is time to program the FMS. Before we can start programming, we have to check two things on the index page. We have to check the FMS control page and check if the display mode is magnetic and the FMS mode is in synchronized, meaning both flight management computers and CDUs are synchronized. Having checked this, we go back to index and we go to the status page, and here we'll check the active date, the time, and we'll check if our database is still valid for this date. Having done that, we go to the next page and we check that the FMS software is actually for the aircraft we are sitting in this case a Canadair regional jet CRJ 700. Alright, this all pans out. And now for the normal flow of the programming, we can go to Position Init. We click this button here and we are back in the Position Init page, which we already know from our safety checks. Because we already put in all the data, we can continue with Flight Plan. We click the button here and now we are at the Flight Plan. As you can see on the left side of the CTU, I have my SimBrief flight plan at hand, and now I can just look at the flight plan and input the data we need. These boxes here are officially called prompts, and if you see any, you have to fill in data. Without this data, the FMS cannot calculate what it wants. Origin. Alright, we start at Paderborn, Echo Delta Lima Papa, and we want to go to Munich. Echo Delta Delta Mike. Our alternate for today, Echo Delta Delta Sierra Stuttgart. And we already know that we will be taking off from runway 06. We put all this data in the scratchpad and then we can say we want it here, there, but in this case it only makes sense to put it here. Our flight number for today, Deutsche Lufthansa 2177, and we'll put it right there. Okay, now you can see this page is populated with data, so we can press the execute button. It's asking for execute. It's more or less a are you sure yes no situation. If we do not push execute, the FMS will do nothing with this data. If anything was wrong, we can correct it. And if we want to cancel everything, we just have to click this here, cancel modification. But everything is exactly like we want, so we press execute. Now we go to the departure and arrival. The FMS already knows we are at Paderborn, but now it wants to know how do we want to go to Munich. At the moment, it's guessing, hey, we'll go directly from A to B. But we don't want to go directly. We want to fly an SID, we want to fly airways, and we want to fly a arrival. So we go first to the departure arrival page. Because I already said I want to take off from runway 06, it already selected this runway, and on the left side it is listing me the SIDs, standard instrument departures, available for runway 06. In our case we want to fly the Warburg 1 X-ray departure, as we can also see in the flight plan. We just click here, execute, and you can already see in the multifunction display here the routing is in the FMS. Now we can go back to the flight plan page. We can either click this button here or go here. And now you see that we have two Warburg via Warburg 1 X-ray. But that's not all. We also want to fly some airways. This is page 1 of 2. Let's go to page 2 of 2. Pushing the next page button. And here you can see again Warburg 1 X-ray is via, and we want to go to Warburg. After Warburg, we want to fly an airway, the Upper Lima 126. We'll click there, and we want to fly this airway to the waypoint Dinku. At Dinku, we want to fly another airway, and that will be the Lima 603. You can see all of this on the flight plan to the left. From Dinku we fly to AKANU, and from AKANU we want to fly an arrival towards Munich. So at this moment we can execute again, and we go back to the departure arrival page. We go to the departure arrival index, and now we see 8 a.m. Munich arrival. We click that, and we want to approach Munich via the ILS 08 left. We do not see the ILS here in the list, but it's only page 1 of 5, so we go to the next page, and there it is, ILS 08 left. We select it, and automatically we get presented a few transitions to fly, and today we just want to fly the vectors. Now, how do we get to the ILS? We just programmed the Lima 603 to AKANU, so we need a star, a standard instrument arrival, that starts at AKANU. Well, which one could it be of the 4? This one, AKANU 3 Alpha. We click it and we execute it. What we can do now is go back to the flight plan page with this button or this one here. And we go to the second page to see that we have AKANU and the AKANU 3 Alpha arrival, but there is a discontinuity between them. The way to get rid of this discontinuity is to go to the legs page. Active legs page 1 of 7. Now we just scroll through the legs and we want to find this discontinuity. Next page, it's not here. And here we have it, AKANU and a discontinuity with again AKANU. There's a very easy way to solve this problem. We just copy and paste. We copy AKANU here and we paste it there. And as you can see, the discontinuity is gone. We just click execute. Okay, now we go back to the flight plan page, next page, and we'll see that the discontinuity is also gone here. Now we can continue with the performance init page. We have a few prompts that we have to enter here. Our flight plan says we want to fly in flight level 180 today. Well, 180, and I'll just click it in here. The way to the alternate will be flight level 100. You can also type 10,000 instead of Foxtrot Lima 100. And as we see, the passenger number for today is 62. The cargo and fuel, we want to have 2,800 kilos. Alright, It's now telling us a zero fuel weight of almost 27,000 kilos and a gross weight of 29,492. If we check the flight plan on the left, you can see that pretty much adds up. We can execute again, and this is page 103. We now want to go to page 2. On page 2, we can enter the wind. We have climb wind, cruise wind, descent wind. We can enter a wind we have from our flight plan here, like 320 with 12 knots. We can also take minus or positive. As you see in the flight plan, there is a -2. We'll just put it here in the cruise phase and we execute. And now the FMS will calculate a 2-knot headwind for the entire leg. We go to the next page, 303, and here we can already see that our flight time will be 40 minutes. And this will be the fuel remaining in Munich, our destination. Now, for example, the ramp agent is asking me, is it okay if we wait for another 10 minutes to get another baggage load? Then I could say, okay, let's see what time it is. It's now 10:19. I want to leave at, 10:30. I can input 10:30 right here. And now I see the time I will be landing in Munich. Flight time was 40 minutes. Now it is 11:10. Not the flight time, but the time we are expected to arrive. Based on this information, I can say, okay, that's our scheduled time or not. So yeah, we wait for the baggage, or no, we just want to go. In this case, we just press execute, and it's a nice reminder for us to see when we will be in Munich. For example, we will get a 10-minute delay. It will not be 10:30, but 10:40. I put 10:40 in here. I execute it. And now I can talk to the passengers and say, unfortunately, we have a slight delay, but I'm guessing we will be landing at 11:20. All right, that was page 3 of 3. Now we go to the FNAV setup. This is the active FNAV climb page. We have a target speed, we have a speed and altitude limit. These are all default values, and we have a transition altitude. Our FMS is still defaulted to the US. We are not in the US, we are in Germany today, so we can change the transition altitude. In Germany, we have 5,000 feet. You can also go to the defaults and say, hey, I always want to fly in Europe. I don't want to have this transition altitude of 18,000 feet. You can change it. But just for training purposes, I'll show you how it goes here. And we execute. Now we want to see the second page. And this is the cruise page. Again, the target speed and the cruise altitude. Again, the next page, and we have the FNAV descent page. Target speed, speed limit, and our transition flight level. Of course, this does not add up. A transition flight level in Germany is flight level 70. F for flight level, Fox, 70. We put it there. We execute, and now this is also correct for our flight. We now have the performance init prompt again, but if we click it, you see we have already filled it out. So the FMS is basically saying to us, okay, you've done all the flows, I have all the information I need, I'm fine, do whatever you want next. And what we will do is we go to this button here, Performance. In the performance menu, you can once again go to the performance init page. You have some other pages here, which I will explain on another flight. And you can type in your flex temperature. I'm not going to explain what flex is in this video, but suffice it to say you can either start with TOCA power, that means full rated power, or you can flex, and you can start with a little bit less of power, which is better for the fuel flow and better for the engine wear. At the moment, we do not have any performance figures with this add-on, but 46 is a very good number, which almost always works. This is not something real life, but if you want to make a flex takeoff, I suggest you take 46. You will flex and you will also get airborne before you are at the end of the runway. Alright, after having entered this, you can go, or we can go, to the multifunction display menu. This is the multifunction display. And here we can say what we want to see on the left display, and if we push the next page, we have a few other stuff we can select, and if we click here, we have the right display menu, and again the left display menu. Okay, back to page 1. This is more or less a personal preference. What do you want to see displayed on your multifunction display? I'm a big fan of high nav aids. Those are VORs. And it makes sense to also list the airports, the speed and the altitude. Now, what you can also do is select what kind of window you want to have. Now we are at off. If I click this once, we'll have window on, and as you see, something has changed here. We now have some information. We have the starting point, the next point, the point after it, and where we want to go, Munich. We have again here the 40 minutes flight time, and we can also check the distance, 273 nautical miles. If you check the flight plan, it's a bit more than in the flight plan, but it's all within limits. This is the normal window. We can also select a VNAV window. Click it again, and now we have a VNAV window. This part is still the same, only this part is different. It's the VNAV information. We have a climb restriction, and later on it will tell you where the top of descent is and what the next descent restriction will be. I like to have this page, the on page, during takeoff, and I will select for my first officer the VNAV page. And when I'm in flight cruising, I will switch to the VNAV page and ask my co-pilot to use the on page. Alright, after having done that, we have one more thing to do, and that's the radio page. We have to do two things here. First, we have to make sure that the Warburg VOR frequency in nav1 will not get overwritten by another frequency. At the moment we have the auto-tune function, meaning that the FMS will search for the best VOR, DME or ILS to update its own FMS position. So if it is an auto, it could very well be that it will find another frequency it likes better. We want to have this frequency for our departure, so we'll click here. Now it's in manual. Now we have control over what frequency will be the active one. You can already see the VOR1 needle here. It's showing to Warburg. The next thing we want to do is we want to enter our flight ID into the radio tuning page. Now, if you look at this page, you see no entry for the flight ID. That is because we have a secret page here. Normally, if a menu has more pages, you will see 1 of 2, 2 of 2, but here there's nothing. But now let's see what happens when I click the next page button. Ta-da! We have a COM3 entry and the flight ID. Now, what is the flight ID? The flight ID is your ATC call sign. You can see it again on the left side on the flight plan, and if you have a transponder code for ATC, you can also give them your flight ID. So you are not only known as 4422, you are also known under your ATC call sign. Now there are two ways to do this, the hard way and the easy way. I can now type in Delta Lima Hotel 2177 and click it there. I've counted it, we have 8 clicks. Now see what I normally do because I'm a lazy person. 1 click, 2 click, 3 clicks, 4 clicks, and a 5th one. And now I saved 3 clicks on the CDU. Doesn't seem like much, but if you fly a year, you just count how many clicks that would be. Alright, and this sort of concludes the preparation of the FMS. This is not related to the FMS, but it's a good time to do it now. We have the EFB here, and we also have to tell the Microsoft Flight Simulator how much fuel we have and what kind of cargo and weights we are expecting. So there are 2 ways to do that. We have the Performance tab here, and what we can do now is change to 0 fuel weight. You can look at the operational flight plan, and you can type in here your 0 fuel weight and here your fuel. You can also go back to change passengers and cargo, and you can change these numbers. We had 62 passengers. The cargo forward, as stated in the manual, is, let's see if I can do it like this, 368, enter. Then we go to the aft cargo. We have 370, enter. And fuel, we want to have 2,800 kilos. Enter. Alright, now I just have to click Set Payload in Simulator, and MFS knows the weight of the aircraft and how much fuel I want. And if I'm really super lazy, I can always click Copy Perf Init Data to FMS, and then I do not have to calculate or input all this data here. I just made it disappear for training purposes. There is nothing here. You should normally input all this, but look, I just click here, Copy Perf Init Data. I go back to the ILS, to the CDU, and voila! The passenger, cargo, and fuel has already been entered. I just need to fill out these 2 fields. Okay, this concludes this video. Thank you for watching, and see you in another video. Cheers!